Hello and welcome to What the F Just Happened Today, your essential guide to the daily shock and awe in national politics. I'm Joe Amditis. Let's get to it. It's Monday, August 15th, 2022. Welcome to day 573. The House of Representatives passed the Inflation Reduction Act over unanimous Republican opposition, sending the multi-billion-dollar climate, health, and tax bill to Biden's desk to be signed into law. The legislation is the single largest federal investment in addressing climate change and the most substantial change to national health care policy since the Affordable Care Act. In total, more than $370 billion will be dedicated to climate and energy programs aimed at reducing U.S. greenhouse gas emissions by 40% below the 2005 levels by the end of the decade. Meanwhile, more than 107 million Americans will live in an extreme heat belt by the year 2050 and will experience heat index temperatures over 125 degrees at least one day per year, which falls into the extreme danger level in the National Weather Service's heat index. A new report using hyperlocal data and climate projections finds that the future heat belt will stretch from Texas, Louisiana, and the Southeast through Missouri and Iowa to the Wisconsin border. Texas and Florida will bear the brunt of climate change, with the number of extreme heat days nearly doubling in the next 30 years. The model also finds that next year, more than 8 million Americans are expected to experience heat index temperatures above 125 degrees. The heat index just means what it feels like when humidity and air temperatures are combined. It's commonly referred to as the feels-like temperature. At the same time, a new study finds that California is overdue for a once-a-century mega flood that could drop up to 100 inches of rain and 34 feet of snow. California last experienced a month-long atmospheric river superstorm in 1862. The study warns of extraordinary impacts and reports that such an event could transform the, quote, interior Sacramento and San Joaquin valleys into a temporary but vast inland sea nearly 300 miles in length and would inundate much of the now densely populated coastal plain in present-day Los Angeles and Orange counties, end quote. Most of California's major highways would also be washed out or become inaccessible. A separate study concluded that human-caused climate change will intensify atmospheric rivers and could double or triple their economic damage in the western U.S. by the 2090s. Government agencies last studied a hypothetical California megaflood more than a decade ago and estimated that it could cause $725 billion in damages, 3 times the projected fallout from a severe San Andreas Fault earthquake, and 5 times the economic damage of Hurricane Katrina. While researchers can't say when the next megaflood will strike, forecasters say there is a 0.5 to 1% chance of it happening in any given year. Moving on, the Justice Department is investigating Donald Trump for violations of the Espionage Act. A federal magistrate judge unsealed the warrant authorizing the search of Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort on Friday, which shows that agents were seeking all, quote, physical documents and records constituting evidence, contraband, fruits of crime, or other items illegally possessed in violation of 3 potential crimes, end quote. And one of those was a part of the Espionage Act, which outlaws unauthorized retention of national security information that could harm the U.S. or aid a foreign adversary. The warrant also cited obstruction of justice as one of the potential crimes justifying the search, as well as the possible destruction of government records as another potential charge. Trump, meanwhile, argued that he used his authority to declassify the materials before he left office and took them with him. The 3 laws cited in the search warrant, however, do not depend on whether the documents were classified or not. The FBI recovered 11 sets of classified documents from Mar-a-Lago, including some marked as top secret and meant to be only available in special government facilities. Federal agents were reportedly looking for classified documents related to nuclear weapons in particular, which Trump called a hoax, before accusing the FBI of planting evidence. In total, agents took around 20 boxes from Trump's property. In June, at least one Trump attorney certified that all documents marked as classified and held in boxes in storage at Mar-a-Lago had been returned to the government. Leaders of the House Intelligence Committee and House Oversight Committee asked the Director of National Intelligence to initiate a review of Trump's handling of the documents and the potential harm to national security. Meanwhile, the FBI seized Scott Perry's phone a day after agents searched Mar-a-Lago. While Perry hasn't said why his phone was seized, the DOJ's Inspector General has been investigating former Justice Department official Jeffrey Clark and others as it examines the department's role in seeking to assist Trump to block the certification of the 2020 election results. Separately, the January 6th committee previously subpoenaed Perry for information about his effort to help install Clark as acting Attorney General. Perry has so far refused to appear. Meanwhile, in Georgia, Rudy Giuliani is a target in a criminal investigation into efforts to overturn the 2020 election. Giuliani is set to testify before the Fulton County Special Grand Jury investigating the case on Wednesday after trying to delay or avoid traveling to Atlanta to testify, citing recent surgery to have a heart stent implanted. A federal judge also rejected Lindsey Graham's request to throw out a subpoena compelling him to testify before the same grand jury. A federal grand jury, meanwhile, is investigating the January 6th attack, and it subpoenaed Trump's White House lawyer for documents and testimony. Eric Hirschman represented Trump during the first impeachment trial. Pat Cipollone, who served as White House counsel, and Patrick Philbin, who served as deputy counsel, have also been subpoenaed. And finally, lawyers associated with Trump organized a multi-state effort to access voting equipment and sensitive voting data in at least 3 battleground states as part of the effort to overturn the 2020 election. Under subpoena, a forensic data firm turned over documents showing that Sidney Powell and an attorney for the Trump campaign directed and paid for the firm to copy election data in Georgia, Michigan, and Nevada. That's all for now. You can find the links and sources for all of these stories on the main website. And as always, visit whatthefjusthappenedtoday.com for the latest news and headlines. Until next time, I'm Joe Amditas.